Now, I absolutely believe that your mental health is even more important than your physical health, and you need to be seeing your main physician, your primary doctor, every year, minimum. You need to get your blood work done. You need to know what's going on with you. And I think you need to get a therapist and work on your mental health. Whether or not you it's to be officially diagnosed with something, or just to have that unbiased, more intellectual, professional conversation about whatever it is that you're going through. We all need that. A lot of people's fears is therapy doesn't work. Therapy. Now, unfortunately, just as it might be difficult to find a good doctor to take care of your body, and to get your medicine approved, and America's healthcare system is just the fucking worst. We know this. Um, Having a therapist and finding a therapist is so difficult because you guys really need to make that connection. And therapists have a bigger responsibility than regular doctors because they have to get to know you. They have to be committed to you, to know you, and to help you. Other doctors get an x-ray, get an ultrasound, get your blood drawn, and then they're able to open up a book and figure out what's up. And then first time I ever saw a therapist was shortly after my mom had passed away. And I had already been struggling with missing my mom because my mom had been missing for about 2 years prior to her death. I would burst out in tears in history class, in PE. Um, I, but the relationship between my dad and I was non-existent. It was just going through the motions. Um, I had a breakdown in PE, and it was luckily a day that a school counselor was on campus, which needs to be changed. There needs to be a school counselor on campus always. And so there was finally a counselor on campus, and she made the referral, and my dad wasn't very much involved in that. It was just something that he went through because other people was telling him to. And so it was my responsibility to go to therapy, and that's exactly what I did. I worked with her for, I don't remember how long I worked with her. I do remember that I confided in her that I had lost my virginity. And now therapists are mandated reporters. So this is kind of where the conversation gets interesting. And just because you're a mandated reporter doesn't mean that you call cops and you call CPS. No, you just make it known to the appropriate authority figure. So the appropriate authority figure in this situation was my dad. So she told my dad. Now, I don't remember her warning me that, hey, per the confidentiality, I need to tell your dad. I don't remember her saying that to me. I'm not saying she didn't. I'm saying I do not remember she said that. I know that I came home, and it was one of the rare times where dinner wasn't on the table. And I was like watching TV, and I was just at home. I made myself something to eat. There was food in the house, but my dad was usually he would cook, and he'll put my plate on the stove, in the oven, or in the microwave. And this time there was no food. I had to make my own food. There was food in the house. I just want to say that. So I'm just I got home from therapy. I make myself something to eat. I'm watching TV, and I just hear a. So I heard a loud thump, Um, and I go to the front door and I see my dad on the floor with drugs spilled over the floor, and my dad is clearly drunk. Just a sidebar, my dad was a dope dealer, and he even charged gangsters to come into my apartment and use my kitchen to cook up their drugs. Now, I was under the age of 18, and who I had slept with was over the age of 18. And now, as an adult, I realize that, and I understand the law, like when you're under 18, there's no consent. You can't consent to anything. So, in the law's eyes, and maybe what my therapist thought, like, I was raped. It couldn't have been consensual because you cannot give consent when you're under 18. So I had to drag my dad in, pick up all his drugs, and for the rest of my fucking life be called a bitch, a whore, a slut. Safe to say, I felt that our trust, our bond between me and my therapist, and me and my dad, I feel like he could have and he should have dealt with that better. I stopped seeing my therapist. I I never saw her again. I don't even remember her calling and checking in. I don't remember getting like a letter of like appointment reminder, I don't remember any of that happening. Not saying that it didn't. I just don't remember it happening. I've had great therapists. Two of my favorite therapists was actually when I was in a group home, and how they match you with the therapist is that there's a therapist in charge of what house you live in, basically. So I had two therapists, one during pregnancy, and her and I connected on that because we were both pregnant at the same time. Mary, and another one when I was in a different cottage because it was a campus. It was a campus of like 7 cottages, and it was a campus of 60 girls, and it was a group home. It was huge. The therapists that I had in the group home, Mary and Noelle, they were fantastic. We did one-on-one. We also did family sessions, which my dad came a handful of times, and the handful of times that he did come to the sessions, because he never missed a visit, but visits were Sundays at 2 o'clock, and we had to schedule the therapy sessions, and our relationship did get better through therapy. My dad's and I relationship did get better with therapy, to the point when I turned 18, and over like before I moved back in with him, we would like have lunch together and dinner together, and we would talk on the phone and etc. Like, because our relationship got super bad to like I went like 6-7 months without talking to my dad. As an adult, I've had horrible therapists, and it just depends on the insurance and what's available, and it's just a mess. That's why I think BetterHelp is such a great alternative, and it's more affordable. That's my own opinion. I'm still searching for my therapist myself. I seeked out one when I shortly after my dad passed away, like that same week my dad passed. I went on BetterHelp. I got matched with a therapist. We had a couple of sessions, and once again, I could be totally wrong. Maybe I just didn't stay committed to it as long, and it was just so, I don't know. But I felt like he was more interested in my love life and who I was dating than helping with me with the fact that I just lost my dad, and exploring that of my relationship with my dad. And that's what I hope to go through with my next therapist. and I really just shared so much that I haven't even spoken about, just to say that anything worthwhile is not easy. And I do suggest to check out BetterHelp. They have prompts, they have questions that they ask, and they'll match you with someone. And if it's not a good fit, then you just find someone else. And that's, unfortunately, it's just the natural process of finding people who deserve to be in your life, you know?